You absolutely know his name. If you're a Penn State football fan, now you get a chance to meet him, get to know him a little bit better on the BWI Daily Edition. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr. That is Dani Dennis-Sutton, five-star defensive end, one of the top 25 players in the nation, no matter where you look in whatever ranking, and going to be a Penn State Nittany Lion as soon as he graduates from high school. So, Dani, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for making time today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me.
I want to take you back to National Signing Day back in December. And James Franklin, when he spoke to the media, when he spoke to us about you and the class of 2022, he said that he expects you to come in and contribute early. And I want to ask you, is that something he was telling you behind the scenes or when you guys were talking? And if so, when you heard that for the first time, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, me and Coach Franklin have had this conversation about me coming in, being prepared. He's actually, he's looking forward to the whole 22 class coming in and being ready to produce on the field. Obviously, you guys know we have a really good running back with Nick Singleton. I think he just got an award the other day, and Drew Aller, the quarterback. So, we have a lot of guys that are in this class that are special players, and we all believe that we could come in and produce right away. But me and Coach Franklin have definitely had this conversation multiple times about me coming in, being physically ready, mentally ready, and just getting in the playbook and everything. Just hopefully being a contributor early.
It's funny you mention Nick Singleton. He's already on campus. He's about to participate in spring football, and I keep forgetting because he keeps getting high school awards that he's, like you, he's supposed to still be in high school, but he graduated early and moved on. So it's always funny seeing him win high school awards, and I'm like, isn't he moved on already? But no. So it's just kind of funny you mentioned that. For fans that want to see you back up what you've talked about when it comes into working in the offseason, being prepared for all of that, check out his social channels. You see them here on the screen. I appreciate, by the way, that you've got uniformity between all of those. But if you want to just tell people what they can find from you on social media, always want to make sure that our guests get a chance to pump themselves up on social. So give your best pitch of what you got out there on the internet.
Yeah, so if you guys want to look at, what I do on a daily basis or my fun side, look at my TikTok, the Dani Dennis. Obviously, my Twitter is where I post a lot of my Penn State hype and, Penn State recruiting. And then my Instagram is what I do outside of football, just me with friends and all that stuff. So the Dani Dennis is where you can find me at all those sites.
And I know that you're not a single, I guess, a statistical-oriented goal guy from what I've heard and talking to Ryan Snyder, who is one of our coworkers here at Blue White Illustrated. But what are your goals for your first year at Penn State? Do you have, not necessarily, but just in general, what do you want to accomplish when you get to Happy Valley in the fall?
Honestly, to be honest, I have no idea. Right now, I'm just preparing for the unknown. I'm training to, just be the best version of me. Right now, I'm still working on every move I can, working on my sprint, working on strength and conditioning. So I'm just working, and I believe the results will come later. But honestly, I don't have any one goal in mind. I just, want to see what I can do because I have no idea. This is going to be a big stage for me coming from McDonough to Penn State. I want to see where I match up. So right now, I'm just preparing myself to be the best version. So when I do step on the field, all those results and all those awards will come later.
So I want to ask you about that. That's perfect because the next thing I wanted to say is, as a film evaluator, you are one of the most advanced players I've watched at your position in quite some time. A lot of guys your size that have your talent can just get away with just winning physically and beating guys because you're bigger and faster and stronger. But you talk about your technique. It's some of the most advanced stuff that I've watched on film. So I got to ask, who's your defensive line coach and how did you invest in that so early in your career? How did that become such an important thing to you?
First of all, I appreciate that, man. And then second, my defensive line coach is his name is Dan Yarbrough. Coach Dan, he's been my coach since my junior year of high school. And honestly, man, my freshman year, I had no technique. You guys can look back at my film, and I was just a big guy. I would come off the line standing straight up, and all those bad things and bad habits that you see a 6'5", 250-pound guy talking about, or that you were just talking about, all those things that you were just saying, I had those same habits up until really, my sophomore, junior year, when I actually started looking at guys in college football, the Chase Youngs and the Nick Bosa's and guys at the next level, they're all big, they're all massive. But the biggest thing that separated them is, their technique and skill. So once I actually, noticed that and seen that, that's when I started to focus on my technique, and just trust that the size and the strength, all that will come, but the technique is something I need to work on every single day.
And just to tell you, like watching your film, you can see it happen in real time where your moves are working, and just watching you progress when you got back on the football field after that. I want to go back to the pandemic because that is exactly what I saw on film from you as a freshman, a young player playing defensive tackle, and then a completely different person, it seems, came out of your canceled season. So what happened in that 12 to 18 months where you worked on all those things you just talked about, and how was that process for you?
It was tough, honestly. Not seeing any of my friends, family members passing. So, COVID was a tough time for me, and I'm sure everybody across America or across the world, for that matter. But I took advantage of it as far as taking care of my body, looking at my diet. Because if you eat, pancakes, 6 pancakes, and potatoes every day, your body's going to feel that because you're not going to be walking around as much as you normally would if it wasn't for COVID. So during COVID, I started focusing on my diet. I started going to the gym every day because I had nothing else to do, no school or anything. So I was just like, man, I'm bored. I can't see my friends. I can't see my family really. So I'm gonna just go to the gym, or I'm gonna go outside and get some extra sprints and whatever. So I took advantage of COVID, all the extra time, and I'm just trying to carry over those habits that I had during COVID into my daily life and my normal routine now.
It's amazing when you have talent like you do and you put in the work, because another guy who did a similar thing, Drew Aller, came out of the pandemic. Two guys going in and putting in that work, putting in that dedication, coming out as 5-star players on the other side. So credit to you for all that work. I heard that you want to someday own your own gym. Is that where that came from? Kind of that year where you were just going to the gym and really getting into fitness and your diet and all those things. Did that kind of shape your perspective on what you want out of your future whenever football may end?
Yeah, I actually do want to own a gym one day. That's one of my goals and something I think I can do, hopefully. But yeah, definitely. During COVID, I was in the gym every day, and I actually got a job at one of my local gyms. This is like 10 minutes away from my house. And I was seeing people every single day, greeting people. So I feel as though going to the gym and seeing people in the gym, it gives me a positive feel about myself. And everybody in the gym is trying to work on themselves. You know what I mean? Like if they weren't trying to get better and work on themselves, they wouldn't be in the gym. So I really like the gym. I like the atmosphere that every gym brings. And yeah, that's definitely a goal that I got over COVID and I want to achieve one day.
What did you learn about yourself throughout that process? Because, not to bring this up again, but not everyone did. Some people went into COVID. Some adults went into COVID and gained 15 pounds instead of turning into 6'5", 255-pound defensive end. So, what did you learn about yourself through that process?
I- Honestly, just how to take care of myself. Before, like I said, I went in as a freshman, not knowing what to do. Especially for me, I went to a boarding school, so it was very tough on me, being away from home and trying to manage being away from home and football and classes and trying to get extra work in. Like trying to manage all those things was very tough for me. So when my sophomore year came around, and that was when COVID happened, it just gave me the time to just sit back, relax, accept everything for what it is, and just look at things for what they are. COVID really gave me a greater appreciation for everything that I have. So I'm pretty thankful for that.
I want to go back to your film, to your football for a second. You have a toolbox of moves, I think is how Alan Zamitis, one of the Penn State staffers, called it. And a rip, swim, dip. You've got all of those, at least that you've worked on tape. What would you say is your signature move right now? What is your go-to that you think is most effective, or that your talent allows to be the most effective?
Um, Probably my long arm. I have so many counters off the long arm, whether it's the long arm, the bull, long arm pull, long arm chop, club rip, whatever. The long arm has so many different counters to it. So, um, yeah, I'll probably say my long arm is my go-to move in a clutch third and long situation.
Or if it's 2nd and 10 during the All America Bowl and the poor left tackle that I felt bad for him. I'm going to be honest. It was inside, it was outside, it was through the middle. Like there was not a lot that he was able to do in that game. Another guy that does similar things, and I'll just lump them all in here. You mentioned on National Signing Day that you follow all those guys, talking about Micah Parsons, Odafe Owe, Yetur Gross-Matos. What is it in their games that you see in yourself, and what is maybe something that you try to incorporate when you watch them when they were either at Penn State or now in the NFL that you want to be able to do?
First of all, both of them guys are great Penn State players, or were great Penn State players, and I believe they're doing a great job in the NFL right now. The rookie year for both of them were special, especially Micah Parsons. Obviously, I think he's going to be, one of the best pass rushers that we've seen in the NFL, ever, in my opinion. But both of them guys are special talents. I do believe I have, attributes that both of them may have had at Penn State, but I just try to take everything. Michael Parsons, as far as his pass rushing, his speed, his outside, I try to take moves from him. And then Jason Owe, he's a great pass rusher as well at Penn State, and you know everything. I just try to take little things from both of them guys.
Owe, I always thought was an underrated run defender as well. Really used his hands well to disengage and get to the ball carrier. When it comes to that, I know we always talk about pass rushing when it comes to defensive ends, but you're obviously at the high school level an elite run defender. How much do you focus on that, and what has been your area of growth that you think, over your junior to senior season when you were working on things that you've gotten better at in that area?
Yeah, definitely. The run game is very important. I take pride in my run game, or run stop game. For me, pass rushing is what I love to do, but run game is, where I believe the real football is, per se. Obviously, pass rushing is, part of football, but when it comes to, like a game like Illinois, when we played Illinois earlier on in the season, they ran the ball 90% of the game, and, we went into 9 overtimes, but if we had stopped them on half of those runs, we would have killed them guys, and that's not a diss to Illinois at all. But I do take pride in my run stop, and I believe me putting all this time in the weight room is an advantage that I have when it comes to the run game as well. A lot of guys, if it's a smaller guy in there and they run the ball, you can get hurt easily. So, yeah.
I know you've been asked this probably 100 times, and you've given this answer just as many, but why choose Penn State? What was it about for you specifically? Because I know that there's a great track record of guys going from your high school to Penn State, but what was it that made you certain that Penn State was a place for you?
What made me certain for Penn State would have to be just when I went up there, it just felt right. They produce players every year, as we just talked about earlier. Micah Parsons, Jason Owe. They had other guys like Yetur Gross-Matos. So many guys in my position have came through Penn State and are doing, tremendous things in the NFL. And I believe, I have the tools and the ability to do that if I put in the work. So that's a plus. Obviously, guys doing what I plan to do, coming from the school that I'm going to. And then Coach Franklin as well. He takes care of his players all the time. The situation he had last year with the running back, I think Brown is his name.
Journey Brown.
Yes, sir. So some players would have, some coaches would have possibly, gotten rid of the players, but Coach Franklin took care of his players. And anytime you see any alumni come from Penn State, Micah Parsons, or any of these guys, they always say thanks to Coach Franklin for what he's done. And, he's just a genuine guy. And I genuinely love everything about State College.
So I got to ask, this is the follow-up question, but you already answered it, I think, is a lot of people use the word culture. And when they do, it's kind of I always say it's like a smoke bomb, so you can say whatever you want and then get out of there, because culture can be kind of just this nothing statement. Is that Penn State culture to you? Is that what draws players in? Because it's one of the things I've heard interviewing players from your class in the class of 2023 is that word culture keeps coming up. So is that, in your mind, what defines that Penn State culture?
Of course, in my opinion, from the visits that I've taken, I've been to Alabama, I've been to Georgia. Obviously those schools are powerhouses and great schools as well. But the thing that separates Penn State, in my opinion, is that it's very family oriented. There's no one player, there's no star player, per se. Obviously, there are elite guys on the team, but everybody gets treated as family and everybody gets treated equally, and I'm a big believer in everybody is the same, no matter if you're, a millionaire, you're homeless, whatever. To me, everybody should be treated equally and treated fairly, and I believe that Penn State does a great job of doing it. They don't pick favorites, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and yeah, that's really how I feel about Penn State.
Dani Dennis-Sutton, 5-star defensive end from McDonough High School. We'll be getting to that part in just a second. He's joining us here on the BWI Daily Edition. Of course, once again, follow him on social media if you want to see his training, see his little glimpse into his life as he prepares to be a Nittany Lion. And if you're enjoying this conversation with Dani here on the Daily, we're going to keep doing this with class of 2022 players that are yet to arrive at Penn State and get to know some of the class of 2023 as well. So hit the subscribe button, hit notification, because we're in spring ball. So there's plenty of news, plenty of information coming out, and BlueWhiteIllustrated.com is your place to get it. All kinds of information, inside recruiting information from Ryan Snyder, all that stuff. Greg Pickle, Dave Bauer, Nate Bauer, Dave Eckert over at the site are great reporters. It is well worth your $1 to sign up. So now that I got my stump speech out of the way, I want to ask you some follow-up questions from the All-America Bowl, where I thought you gave great answers, and I wanted to get a little bit more context now that some time has passed. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you mentioned to Ryan at the All-America Bowl that you were planning on running in track this spring. So first off, have you been training for that so far? And do you have any times you want to share if you're into your season? I apologize, I'm not sure if you're into the competition season yet.
Yes, sir. So I actually ran indoor, and I'm currently doing outdoor as well. But I have not done a meet yet. I didn't do a meet for indoor, which was in the winter because of the bowls, obviously. Not worth the risk, but I was training with the track team 3 times per week and then lifting 4 times per week. And currently I'm doing the same thing outdoor, sprinting 3 times a week and then lifting 4 times a week, as well as doing my, defensive line stuff. But I do plan to run a meet before I leave high school. And when I do, I'll be posting those times somewhere.
Do you have, yeah, you're not busy at all. What was it? Lifting 4 times a week, running 3 times a week, and doing positional drills. So yeah, no big deal. Do you have it? So that lifting 4 times a week, I'm also curious. You said you hadn't max tested in a while. Have you max tested this spring? And do you have any new PRs you want to share?
Yes, sir. So currently I've been on the Penn State, workout plan that the early enrollees are on. For my first week, max is squat 510, power clean 325, and bench 395. So, but I'll be maxing. I'll be maxing out again in about 4 weeks, because that's when the plan is. So yeah.
All right, so we'll be looking for those times as well. And just as a kind of a clerical thing, we have you listed at 255. Is that where you're at? And that seems to be pretty consistent throughout what we've seen from you. And is that the weight you want to play at? Do you have a goal when it comes to that of 260, 250, anywhere in there? What's your thought there?
Yes, sir. I bounce between 255 and 260, depending on how much I ate that day. So yeah, I plan to be around the same weight. I feel as though I'm light on my feet. I can move, and I have the strength and the stability to, like you said, play the run game or whatever I have to do. So I think this is a good playing weight for me right now. But we'll see when I get to State College what they say.
Dani, awesome having you on the show. Just a couple more questions I want to ask. Finally, about your former teammate, Mason Robinson. He's the next in the McDonough pipeline of defensive linemen. The first thing is, what is in the water down there? And if can you give me a scouting report on him if you don't mind? What does he bring to the table as a defensive lineman?
Yeah, for sure. Mason Robinson, like you said, is a junior right now, defensive end. Man, he's amazing pass rusher, a great run stopper as well. This past season, I think he might have been second, or actually, I think he led our team in sacks. That now we got to take that in consideration. I was out for like the first 4 games,
Right.
but either way, he led our team in sacks. He's a great pass rusher, like I said, hard worker, dedicated man, and he's a humble guy as well. He's a guy who might not be the highly ranked or anything, but he's in there working every day like I am in the gym. He's out on the track and field with me, so he's working just as hard as anybody else.
I want to ask you a couple personal questions now because I was doing some research, and it turns out you and I have something in common. You like to do photography. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do you like about it? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? What do you like to do? What do you like about photography?
Honestly, I like being outside. That's the number one thing. So sometimes I just sit outside, take pictures of myself. If we're being honest, just take pictures, take pictures of the scenery. I do that sometimes, but I like shooting like basketball games and football games. Just simple stuff like that. Just another thing because I don't play video games. I don't watch TV. And I don't do any of those things. So that's just another thing that I do on the side, and just it's fun.
I do landscapes because trees don't complain about how fat they are in the picture. So I don't have to worry about somebody being mad about how they look. The tree is just the tree, so it's great. What other hobbies do you have?
Right.
You said you don't watch TV and you don't play a lot of video games. So what else is taking up your incredibly free schedule with nothing on it?
Honestly, during the summertime, I like to go fishing. I like to go hiking. Just walking. I walk pretty much every day just to clear my mind, just to get outside. Riding dirt bikes, riding four-wheelers. I'm from Delaware, if you guys didn't know, so I live in the countryside. I don't live in a city, so it's a lot of green, a lot of grass. So yeah, just pretty much anything outdoors that you can think of.
So that's honestly, so I grew up on a literal dirt road. When I went to Penn State, one of the things I liked about State College is there was a little bit of that where it's beautiful green campus, big trees, open spaces. Is that a part of what you liked about campus outside of the football program was kind of how it felt a little bit like home?
Of course, man. The scenery at Penn State is unreal. You stand in the stadium and you look around Center Valley, you see mountains all over the place. I love the scenery at Penn State.
Last question. What's one thing you think people will be surprised to know about Dani Dennis-Sutton?
Uh, One thing I think they'd be surprised about, man, that's a tough question. You know, um, I don't know. That's a tough question. I have to think about that. Uh, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, I mean, you just ask me. But that's a good question.
I
I don't know what people think about me. Like I don't
that's a
know. I don't know
that
what people.
that's a great point. This is the point where we're getting to know you. So I'll ask you this one: how would you describe yourself? How about that? How would you describe who you are as a person?
Definitely. So obviously my craft is playing football. I'm dedicated to that. I put everything toward that and for that. So that's a big part of my life. But obviously, family as well is a big, you know, part of me. Coming from Delaware, it's not really that big. So I try to stick to my family, my close circle and stuff like that. So I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't really have too much going on.
Dani Dennis-Sutton, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was super fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome guy, awesome football player. I think Penn State fans are going to be very excited, not just to watch Dani on the football field, but to see, his journey through Penn State. I'll just tell you, you're a really easy guy to root for, Dani. So thanks for the time. And of course, if you want to check out more information on Dani, on3.com, you can check out all the stuff that we've written about Dani, all the information. You'll see this and more. And of course, BlueWhiteIllustrated.com, your place for Penn State football information. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr, the BWI Daily Edition. We will be back tomorrow.